I'm excited to welcome Dr. Tibor Pacher. He's the CEO of Puli Space Technologies, and we'll be talking about space engineering, innovation, and what Hungary's role is in this global space industry. Dr. Tibor Pacher is a Hungarian physicist, entrepreneur, and space exploration advocate, best known as the founder and CEO of Puli Space, a team dedicated to advancing lunar exploration. What inspired you to, as someone who lived here in Hungary, to want to explore something that seems so seemingly distant as the moon?
Space fascinated me actually from my childhood, really. So not only the Apollo stuff, but also the night sky. So we have been very often at Lake Balaton in the 60s in my childhood, and that time it was a little bit less light noise, let me put it that way. So, and then I remember also the one day it was really, it was not that late. I mean, I was a child, but it was just so fascinating to see that so practically a very clear sky, and then the stars there. So it just gave me something which is still in me. So that's and then there's maybe also there's just the curiosity. What is out there? Where is our place in that huge cosmos?
What's one surprising fact about lunar exploration that people don't know you'd like to share?
Space generally has the problem that many people, as on the everyday life, they say, why should we spend money on such crazy things? We have so big problems here in Hungary as well, on the land side or whatever, and then they don't realize actually that our life, our everyday life, is already deep interwoven with space-based services. Just take GPS. GPS is not working without that. But in the agriculture or in catastrophic situations, the satellite images can help a lot just to communicate the situation. They are used actually normally already in forecast for the agriculture, whatever. So that's a lot of concrete usage what we wouldn't have if we wouldn't have space. And this is just a practical way. Moon is of course a bit different, and the geostationary stuff, so or satellite communication, sure, or Netflix is coming mostly via the space or internet communication with the US or with Hawaii or whatever.
So all these conveniences that we have. All
imagine if there is sometimes it can happen if kind of sunstorm, so-called sunstorm. It could be a major setback for several days. Hopefully it will not, and the modern satellites are already prepared for that, but it could be a problem, and could be a serious problem.
And everybody on Earth can see the moon, right? I mean, it's something
and this is close, and it is very, very, very. This is just, I say, it's in the backyard, yeah. So it's using space measures. It's very close. It's relatively easy to get there, so we have to start to learn how does it work. It's an extremely harsh environment, no atmosphere, extreme temperatures, extreme lightning conditions, radiation, whatever you like. So we have to learn how to survive there, how to use it, and can we use it in a meaningful way at all. Yeah? So that's what we have to learn in the next 20, 30 years.
So you're an entrepreneur, you own your own company. What advice would you give to other young Hungarians that were looking to get into the space industry?
Space in general is a very, very good industry. It's growing actually roughly, if I know the numbers correctly, so 5 to 8% per year, even if the times are not good enough. Yeah? So it's still a growing industry, mostly in the so-called low Earth orbit and satellite business, or the geostationary stuff, but it is getting also farther into the moon. So that means that if somebody is interested in space, I can just encourage it. It's a good industry. I don't think that there is any danger not being successful if the knowledge is and the will is there. You need endurance. You need the usual stuff, yeah, and a little bit a pinch of luck as well. But again, so this is a growing industry, and normally the return on investment is also good.
So maybe a question about American pop culture. Is there a particular U.S. Movie about space that you like? For one?
I mean, Star Trek was Star Wars was fine. I mean, this is more generic, so it's not realistic. Yeah, so,
sure. but
it's fun. I think Star Wars is really a fun story. It's actually, and shows exactly that spirit. How can we use it? So maybe that one, but. Interstellar, you might have seen that a couple of years ago. Yeah. This is actually a very good stuff, which mixes very well science and fiction.
I didn't know that.
If I remember correctly, so one of the advisors for the movie was Kip Thorne. Kip Thorne is a Nobel-prized physicist, so he knows pretty well about those things, and they try to give as close as possible vision about that. Yeah? So I mean, still we are very, very far away from that. Yeah, but and we don't even know if it can work. But it was a really good stuff. Yeah.
How was international cooperation, especially between Hungary and the United States, important for advancing space technology and innovation? And how do you see international partnerships helping smaller countries like Hungary to compete in this area?
I think this is always a question. So what is the kind of cooperation? There are cooperations on the national level or the government level. So this is then something either a space agency or something which is similar to a space agency. In that sense, Hungary is trying to make such cooperations with a lot of countries, and was more emphasis in the last couple of years on doing that. But for me, it's even more important just to get projects, real projects, even if it's coming from a government support or it is just a pure private one, and real projects can bring everything forwards. And this is what we are working on actually. And this looks good. Hungary is, I think, on the right way of doing that on both sides. There's also on government level cooperations, and private companies, look, they have to figure out how to survive and how to live in this environment. And space is inherently an international environment. You cannot do this just within one country. You can do this maybe in the US, is big enough, but Hungary is not, and even Germany wouldn't be big enough for that, just within Germany. So that means that you need really international cooperation, and that's good.
Specific to Hungary in that regard, what specific value add do you think Hungary is providing, maybe through the lens of Puli Space or otherwise, contributing to global innovation in space exploration?
If I can say that, so I think this is a kind of creativity, which maybe, I don't know if it's true, but we say always it's maybe originating from the fact that Hungary was never a rich country. So that means if you don't have too much money, you have to be creative. Yeah? So you have to try solutions which are good, and then it's still there. Yeah? So on the other side, space is pretty technical stuff, and we have a very good heritage actually in math and mathematics and physics.
Are there specific projects that you've worked on with U.S. experts, either through your company or otherwise, or hope to work on in the future?
Yeah, we are working permanently. So for us, it's also the U.S. is the major market actually. So it's the largest spacefaring nation, the largest industry, of course, and we are working on the lunar mission. So we are trying to check if it's necessary for us to set up a. Or not necessary, it's useful for us to set up a US subsidiary or a US company, because if you want to make direct deals with NASA, it's good to have a US-based company. This is okay. That is also fine.
If there was some place that you personally could go in the solar system other than the moon, and of course Earth, where would you want to go and why?
That's a good question, actually. I think it's, I mean, physically, it would be, of course, Mars, yeah, because let me put it another way. There are no real other places where we could go usefully. So Mercury, Venus, we couldn't exist. Yeah, it's too hot. So it's not for human beings. Not even with corresponding stuff. It's simply several hundred degrees Celsius, very high pressure, blah blah blah. Mercury is worse than the moon in that sense. So that's moon is okay. That's good enough. Mars is the other thing. The big planets are too big. You cannot exist again as a human being on that. You can go close. It would be probably fascinating to see the Jupiter moons or whatever. But look, if our eyes would be on Mars, it would be already good.
If you could, would you take a Vizsla to the moon, or just the Puli? I know your company is Puli Space. If you could take one.
Which one? A Puli?
The Vizsla.
Puli, of course.
Puli, of course. And maybe actually, a final question: where does Puli Space go from here? What's sort of your next steps? What do you see in the next year or two?
We hope that we can establish us really as a lunar prospecting company, organizing prospecting missions. That means that looking for potential resources in the first line for water ice, but not only. So there are also potential requests for rare earth elements, which could be also geopolitically interesting. We know that there is something on the moon, but we don't really know is it enough, and technologically can it be done or not. So this is we would like to see that, and maybe if time is coming, then to do something similar on Mars, because our instrument might have a chance to fly to Mars as well. I mean, there is also a need to set up such prospecting missions, because Mars is even farther. And if we don't have any really big changes in the propulsion technology, then we would need also gas stations directly on Mars. Yeah, so then for the chemical propulsion, water is still the best thing. Again, if we in the meantime figure out something different, then it will not be that important, but I think for the next 20-30 years, this is okay for us.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today, Dr. Pacher. It's a real pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I hope I could explain a little bit what is the driving force behind us.
Absolutely, you're an inspiration.
Thank you
so much.